Hello. Change of wardrobe, change of location, because I'm not working today. It's my day off. I'm recording a video anyways, because I kind of like doing it. Today on my list of topics is kind of a, I don't want to call it a hot take, so I feel like that term means something fresh and new, and I've been saying this for a long time. It's kind of been evident for a long time. But not everyone is sort of on the same page with me on it. 4th edition, well, I guess you've read the title, haven't you? 4th edition has more mechanical support for non-combat scenes than 5th edition does. Big surprise. Big surprise, especially if you have not played 4th edition yet, and you've only heard stories. You probably heard that 4E is the MMO video gamey kind of edition. Like, it was pretty much just a combat simulator. It's not very D&D-ish at all, because there's no, you can't roleplay in it. But actually, greater support for role-playing, greater support for adventuring, greater support for social interactions, greater support for non-combat challenges. One moment. We're back. Let me sip down my sweet, sweet Mountain Dew. So, what do I mean by greater support? I mean that not only are there more rules in 4th edition to cover these situations, more mechanics, more player-facing support features, I also mean that they were used more often. A lot of the times, what I have found is that in 5th edition, DMs have to kind of house rule this stuff because the rules either aren't very good or are not easy to remember or implement, or just aren't present at all. 4th editions, let's start with what is the most obvious, the skill challenge. Now, skill challenges are kind of a divisive topic, because as they were written in the original publications of 4th edition, they weren't that good. They just weren't. This kind of is one of those things that people say that 4th edition was sort of rushed out the door. And this is kind of where it shows a bit. This mechanic was not thoroughly play tested, I think. I think it was kind of still in development when they had to go to print. But it received several improvements, and I have improved it even further. But we're not talking about house rules today. We're talking about the game as it exists currently. The skill challenge was significantly improved since the initial publication and has become a reasonable, if not particularly imaginative, mechanic for resolving non-combat challenges. You've got your chase scenes. You've got your political intrigues. You've got your investigations. You've got the action scenes like... Have you seen... Audience who can't respond, have you seen Sonic 2, the second Sonic movie, when they're snowboarding down the valley? Have you seen Dead Fantasy, when they are fighting enemies while skating down the side of a building as it collapses? These are the sorts of scenes that I love to run in 4th edition, because the skill challenge mechanics provide me a mechanical framework for doing so. So you've got action scenes and non-action scenes. Both of these can be covered with skill challenges. So skill challenges are a wide-reaching mechanic. Now, is the skill challenge system great? I wouldn't say it's great. I'd say it's passable. It's usable. It's functional. Especially as it was updated. And it can easily be improved upon and tweaked to fit a specific campaign. Now, I'm not talking about general house rules to improve a system and make it work. I'm talking about modifying a system to customize it for individual campaigns. This is a thing you can't write into RPGs. This is something that the DM has to do on their own if they wish to. So there is that support. You've got sorry, I am coming off of a little something. Maybe today wasn't a great day to record. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. You've also got greater support for social situations. Now, you can do social intrigues and situations like that with skill challenges. You can. It's not suitable for every situation, though. So as a general thing, 5th edition did copy some of the social mechanics from 4th edition. What they didn't cover was the standard progression of social skills. In 5th edition, if you do not specialize in a social skill, you kind of don't interact with them at all because they don't scale. In 4th edition, all of your skills scale with half your level. There's a lot of teamwork bonuses. A lot of races get small bonuses to social skills. And the skill system in 4th edition is just a lot more present than it is in 5th edition, in my experience. And what do I mean by present? What do I mean by present? There's more... Man, it's a good thing I'm alone in here. There's more mechanical support in terms of like number of features available to specialize in skills, up to and including skill powers. You could actually swap out your class powers for powers based on which skills you are trained in and gain special abilities related to those skills. Insight, persuasion, although I think it was called diplomacy back then, intimidation, but these kinds of focuses on allowing characters to improve their skills in ways beyond just are you trained or are you not trained. They don't exist in 5th edition. Like, sure, you can be a bard with expertise or a rogue with expertise, and maybe you can get reliable talent, but these are just like numerical improvements. They're not inherently more interesting, and they are locked to specific classes. In 4th edition, anyone who is trained in a particular skill can improve on that skill with a feat, which is a relatively low cost for investment in 4th edition since you get a lot more feats. And they are individually a smaller portion of your power. You can swap out skills for skill powers. All of these things allow you to specialize in skills, particularly social skills, in ways that you just can't do in 5th edition. You know, do you want your fighter to be not just a brute who can only swing a sword and do nothing else? Do you want him to maybe be a charismatic leader? Well, that's something you can do, even without investing heavily into charisma is the thing. Because charisma, I don't think there's a fighter build in 4th edition that values charisma. There are some that value wisdom. So that's something. Oh man, for some reason I want to say there was an intelligence. There's one that valued intelligence as well, but I could be wrong about that. I might be confusing it with Warlord, which had wisdom, charisma, or intelligence as a secondary ability, depending on what kind of build you wanted. But the fighter, without investing into charisma, you can be trained in the skills that you want to be trained in, grab some skill powers and maybe some feats to specialize in these things, and now you have the quintessential, warrior prince who can command armies and, do these, engage in social situations, maybe not on equal footing to someone like a bard who has, the bard I'm discovering in my campaign actually has like a ridiculous amount of power and freedom in these situations. Their ability to just like drop huge numbers on a skill check, particularly with deception or bluff or diplomacy, like it's kind of crazy. Like it really puts the 5th edition bard to shame. So you got non-combat challenges, social situations. What's the other one? Exploration. Exploration. One of the pillars of D&D play that is largely ignored by 5th edition. By 5th edition, 5th edition doesn't really do exploration. I might just start doing that now. So 5th edition doesn't I have to stop. I have to stop. I'm not gonna. All right. So 5th edition doesn't really emphasize exploration that much. They've got some rules, I believe, in the DMG for overland travel that I've never seen used at a table. They've got rules for, like, you know, climbing and, you know, light radiuses for exploring dark underground areas. Like these sort of like standard rules. But there isn't really anything to really evoke a sense of danger or wonder about an area. Now, how do you evoke senses of danger and wonder in an RPG? What sort of mechanics can do that? Well, expansive trap mechanics can do that, which 4th edition does in spades. A trap can be a whole encounter on its own in 4th edition, up to and including XP rewards for bypassing it. You know, these are things with, you know, triggers that cause attacks in an area. It's got like an access area. You may have to do a skill challenge to disable it while it's going off. It can be like multi-layered. These kinds of mechanics are supported and integrated into 4th edition's like core mechanics. When you do a trap, you can do simpler traps as part of an encounter, but really, like, is that really getting the most out of a trap? And I say this as someone who has fairly recently run a kobold cave rife with traps. There was a trap in basically every encounter, and traps that would not harm the kobolds. Either they knew where it was so they could avoid it, or it specifically didn't affect small creatures. Small creatures too light to set off the pressure plates, too low to get hit by the arrows, those kinds of things. Which I recommend, by the way. That's really fun to do, like as a low-level encounter. Around, you know, when the party has, like, if you've got new players, real quick aside here, if you've got new players and you want to show them how cool kobolds are, don't have them just be slaughtered en masse. Have the kobolds be really smart in their lair. They are going to have traps in every single room that they don't have to worry about. And it's going to be really funny. It's going to be really funny when the party, you know, starts hitting these and starting getting like really hurt by these traps. Like the kobolds themselves are only half the threat, really. Anyways, I recommend it. Do that. So, traps are a big deal. Skill challenges, again, come into this. You can have a skill challenge for, you know, spelunking and rappelling down into the dark, possibly with the loss of equipment along the way, or possibly, making it so that escaping later is going to be more difficult because, you know, they've damaged the entryway on the way in. You can also use skill challenges for exploration of the above ground, you know, the sort of like long-term journeys where you need to navigate your way from one point to another. And maybe you don't exactly know where it is, but maybe you have a map, or you're looking out for certain landmarks, and you have to ration your supplies along the way, maybe gather food along the way. These are all things that can be incorporated into a skill challenge. The skill challenge is a very expansive and potent mechanic, and I can't recommend it enough. And it kind of relies on this idea that skills are all kind of within a ballpark of each other. Now, obviously, you can't have everyone be like within 5 points of each other. Like, that's not a reasonable expectation. But there is a sort of expectation that, you know, if you are good at a skill, you're going to be, you know, roughly in this area. If you're not good at a skill, you can be roughly in this area. And so you can set DCs for these checks to be like, you know, maybe people who are good at a skill succeed on a 5+ or a 6+, or something like that. And then people who aren't good at the skill are going to be succeeding more like on a 12 to 15 kind of range, you know. But that requires a certain mathematical coherency that exists in 4th edition that doesn't exist in 5th. Because 5th edition doesn't really, like, they tout their bounded accuracy. Bounded accuracy doesn't exist in 5th edition. I think I've already made a video on that. The range of modifiers is far too great in 5th edition that skill challenges don't really work, because you don't have like you don't have the ability to say like, all right, at this level, you know, this is a hard DC, this is a easy DC, this is a really hard DC, and have it actually be meaningful in regards to what number needs to be rolled on the die to succeed. It just doesn't exist, because of the way that skills and ability scores and other modifiers interact. It's basically impossible to import. And as a result, 5th edition is much worse at social interactions, non-combat challenges, and exploration than 4th edition is. And as a result, 4th edition actually is the better edition for non-combat encounters and non-combat challenges. It is also, as an aside, the better system for the combat challenges. So you can see what the direction I'm trying to take in this in. Let's just call it what it is. My opinion that 4th edition is a superior role-playing game to 5th edition is no secret. And here I have outlined a few of I would say fairly significant reasons why.